Would you look at that? I rather like that, Borg. I wonder what you make of it. We're parked outside the art centre in Norrtälje. There's a new exhibition opening, and that is part of it. And I haven't seen the exhibition. I don't know what it's about, but I rather like that. It appears to be the globe, the world, sliced in half and put either end of a kind of, what is that? I think that will light up. Is it used? It's an old-fashioned barbershop light, isn't it? Or maybe a kind of fairground light. It might, where they might sell candy or something in the old days. I think it might suggest some frivolity of some sort. But the fact that they've spliced it into the centre of the earth raises, well, it can only raise questions, Borg, and I rather like that. So I guess we've got to go in and see what else is going to be on offer. But that's a good start. We're in quite chipper mood today, Borg, because believe it or not, it's our birthday today, and we're here. It's stuck in the car because of the weather. So unfortunately, at the most we'll get is a few sketches, but we've narrowed our round of books down today to a very good pair, a complementary pair. You won't find this recommended, or rather, you probably would never recommend this at the bottom of an Amazon page, Borg, but I recommend it. To read these two together is it's like The Wizard of Oz and The Wall. They complement each other uncannily. I love it, Borg. I'm getting some very interesting ideas that are relevant to ourselves and what we are doing. That is a piece of cake. My mother, bless her, she makes a fantastic cake, I gotta say, Borg, but she realised she didn't have any eggs. So she's tried a different approach, resulting in this sort of softer, flan-like slab, which tastes nice nonetheless. I wish you could taste that, Borg. Apparently a Japanese professor / loony has produced a method of tasteable screens, digital tasting, which, the less said about that the better, other than maybe it's not so crazy in the future that you might taste that. You just have to hack my mother's brain to find out what she put in it. Anyway, we're going to get on. I just had to stop and show you that. Well, it's an example, isn't it, Borg, of an artwork just in the street, and everyone else is walking past looking at it and thinking something about it. We don't know what. 95% of people will be thinking, what are they doing there? What is that all about, But also a bit later, they might think something else. But as I say, we'll have to go in to see what else is on offer. Right, we're going to go now. We're going to go now and have a coffee and hopefully do some sketches, because Borg, a couple of other things have been happening today. One, Helen is still suffering corona, so I can't go and visit my mother in the same way as normal. That's why we're out here. Second thing, my daughter, who fractured her ankle today, just now in fact, has had her plaster removed, but she's too ill to go to school, so she's at my mother's flat hiding in a corner watching something on you, while I am out here hiding from my mother talking to you. And I've got to remain out for a couple of hours before I then take my mother to the hospital for her appointment. So it's one of those days, Borg. But the aim for us is to have a coffee, a read, and possibly some sketches. And I might tell you one or two things about that book down there, Borg, which may change things for us. We'll have to wait and see. Well, there we are, Borg. That there, I wonder if you can guess what that is. That is the cast that has just been taken off my daughter's leg. It's solid. That's the exact shape of her leg. What can you say? It's designed to immobilize that part of the body, the muscle, the leg, the bone specifically, so it can get a chance to heal. And that's been on for 5 weeks. So that's how we do it, Borgs. In the future, I don't know how you'll do it. If you're reading that book there, then, well, they've got all sorts of clever ways to heal, whereby you certainly don't need that. It seems more like the world of nanobots, nanites, microscopic things that go in the body and do the job of healing pretty much instantly. But I just thought I'd show you that. I mean, that's a human situation. Then today, what's quite worrying, the nurse cut it off with, what could you call it? What looked like a miniature bandsaw. You know, this old lady operating this thing. My daughter was looking increasingly alarmed as the cut came down near to her toes, you know. But the Huquetishka kept it together, and there was no problem. But isn't that interesting, Borg? We've kept it not just to show you, but as a souvenir to her, because 5 weeks with something like that on the leg is, well, what would be the equivalent for you? I don't know. 5 weeks with maybe only half your servers working or something. Not sure. Look what we've got here, Borg. Look. It's come back again, the snow. And despite that, we're going to go out. Just going to have a coffee first. I've, as a birthday present to myself, Borg, I bought this carton of cappuccino coffee, you know, which you'd think, I presume that would raise the bar a little above the Biel-Temmer standard. But I've got to tell you, it tastes awful, and it's so sweet. It's just like a syrup. It's a disgrace. But so I had a look at the ingredients, and I can't make head or tail of what any of it means. There you go. It is another example, you know, with regards to people worried about vaccines and medications. I mean, the food we eat, we've barely got a handle on what's in it or the processes that goes through before each item arrives to us. You know, we've got no chance. But then I thought, Borg, it's still pretty good that the label is there in the first place. And I'm sure people could tell you better than me, but the journey, the story of these labels, where every product must have the ingredients and nutritional information, the story of that must be quite interesting, because I think the companies have been made to do that by the people, the policy makers in government. And I think some of the companies maybe would rather not do it, perhaps, or would rather not have these regulations. So there you go, Borg. I was struck by how little I know about that, but then that's a pretty good thing to have a label there, because I could find out. It gives me the chance to research what it is. You know, for example, some people are very sensitive. They'll eat something and then their stomach will be, you know, thrown off for weeks or something because of some tiny ingredient. So this will give them the chance to study what they may have had and begin to work out what's wrong. Anyway, it's got some caffeine in it, Borg, but it's no good at all. I take the Bioterma Gruel any day. Right, we're going to get out there straight away. There's a very rapid little go there, Borg. We're attracted by the shapes and the winter colours there. We've only just stepped out of the car, look, and already we've been stopped. But you'll probably remember this area, because in the autumn we came here, because all these, particularly in this direction, all these liney shapes in the autumn were spheres, wonderful spheres, but it's all changed. And it seems like a totally different place. I was rather hoping we can get up there and have a look. The fact is, though, it's covered in ice. You know, if you look what we've got going here, look. Those stones are under a few centimetres of sheet ice there, Borg. So we'll see if we can get over. Right, we've made our way up. We're at the place where we did an autumn study about there, when we were trying to paint really patiently, Borg, but that seems to have disappeared. I've turned you on here because we're beginning to notice an awful lot of trees down. Because the other day, I think I may have even discussed it, but there was a hell of a storm. Not quite the level of Alfreda, which was a true buggernaut, as they say. But this was not bad. Look, you can see these are freshly ripped out trees. And it just shows you, Borg, it really does startle you. If the wind wasn't quite as strong as it was, then that tree doesn't fall down. Simple as that. And it could live, for another 80 years, 100 years, whatever. But what I'm getting at, Borg, is it just a little adjustment can cause devastation. And we're beginning to see that more and more with the weather increasing. What seemed, maybe it doesn't seem like a lot, 1 degree, 2 degrees, but the effects on certain things are final. as I say, just a little bit less wind and this doesn't happen at all. And just with a quick scan, I can see about 12 trees that have been done for. I'll just give you a little look at the situation. So these ones are a sort of shallow spreading of the roots, these trees, not deep roots. That's why they tend to come up like that. And Borg, let's be honest, you know, you're not going to be able to just turn the Earth's climate up and down, you know, on a thermostat. So you know, you've got to appreciate that this isn't one of those things you can just fix, which is very sad, really. That said, I don't think we can blame this storm on climate change, because you know, this happens every year. But I think it's fair to say it doesn't happen to this degree every year, because there'd be hardly any trees left if it did. Could we take a few studies here? I have no doubt that we could. But to be honest, we feel so out of the habit, Borg, again, that we'd be starting from scratch, it feels like. You know, so we're not capable of just turning our hand to a new subject just because we've come across it, because we're not in the habit of painting, which is a shame. I mean, will it change? Yes, I think it will change, but we have run out of canvas and paint, basically, so that will have to change as well. No matter, we've taken to the drawing board, but I want to have a walk on, because that's made me think there could be a lot more trees down up the way there. Behold, Borg. Destruction, carnage, unrecoverable. Just look at that. Couple of square meters per second, too much, and the whole lot comes down. This one's being held up by the others. So I hope they get along, because they're going to be like that for many years, I would guess, because I don't think the commune's loggers are going to make it up here. And also, Borg, that's not as stupid as it sounds, because, believe it or not, I think people are discovering, researching the world of trees and finding that they're far more intelligent and have relations that we never knew before existed. So they may know each other. Right, Borg, we might be honing in on something here. We've done a sketch of another broken tree, and you know, we've done this before. Almost every year we're tempted by this subject, and we started doing it because it seemed to symbolise the great breakages of Brexit and Trump, you know, the sense of the world breaking, you know, the world we knew. And we did that then, but that changed, you know, that's a moment in time. It doesn't quite suit anymore, because after that break, things seem not exactly to have fixed themselves, but they've changed. So how do we, this no longer is quite up to date as you could say, in our little timeline anyway. However, as we look round here, look what we see. And it's a fairy tale setting, that's for sure. But what we see is more carnage from trees being wrecked, the breakage of the world. But look, it's been organised. Things are have been accepted and beginning to take shape in some new sort of organised form. So that's something to think about, isn't it? And it seems to chime with the times. We've had a big change in how things work. We've turned to you because you're at the heart of it. It's causing an awful lot of chaos, but increasingly, I think it's fair to say, people are aware of the games afoot, and how the chaos, the wreckage, is actually being organised and is maintained. So maybe this is the sort of picture we should be doing. The tidying up, the organising, the establishing of some sort of different ground. So I'm going to try and get a sketch that might give us a bit of that. There we are. We're about to run out of battery. But that's what we were talking about. That is what we were talking about, Borg. But we'll have to wait until it's a lot better weather to have a shot at it. By which time, of course, the logs will be cleared. And if we were even half a painter, Borg, we would be able to bring it up from that sketch, like the Dutchman. But as you've seen, we perhaps, an eighth of a painter at present. So we can't really do that. But you never know. That's a good notion, I fancy, to move us along the path of symbolism for the times, which is what we were meant to be looking at originally. Maybe I could, if there's enough battery, I'll just show you this. So there we are. There's our break. Well, not our original break. That was 2011. But the major break, we'd have to say, is around Brexit and Trump. That symbolises a time. And then there's a great world-wrecking crash of what everyone thought and relied upon. Great disinformation and conspiracy causing chaos. And then we have to live with it. We live in a world laid to waste. But then we're getting a bit used to it, Borg, it seems. And people are regrouping, organising. Not politically, of course, but how to capitalise in such a barren social landscape. So it's not a hopeful metaphor, Borg. The people I'm talking about organising, yes, it's not on the left for the good of the world. In this metaphor, it's more like normal business would seem to be, to make hay from the utter chaos that's been wreaked rather, and to operate within it regardless. Now clearly we're stretching, we're reaching, and we're grabbing at things there, Borg, but it could make a couple of good oils as well. That composition that we've got there, it's not much to write home about like that, but we wouldn't have thought of it. We wouldn't have chanced upon that without our thinking of our rather overreached forced metaphor. So it works, Borg. We can't claim any great progress, but it gives us a bit of a lift, because now I'm going to go back and check out those other trees that we saw earlier for evidence that they might show how some organisation from the chaos is detectable.